Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. In this stream, we'll preview tomorrow night's Europa League game against German side Freiburg and chat about the Sheffield United result from the weekend. So Dennis and I tonight are joined by Gatesy from the West Ham Massive. Link is in the description below. Let us know your thoughts, comments, etc. in the live chat. It'd be great to read those and subscribe to Gage Football if you're new around here. So lads, thanks for joining. Appreciate your time. So as I say, we'll chat about the 2-0 win against Sheffield United on Saturday, and then talk about Freiburg tomorrow. So quite a bit to get through. So let's start off with our, as I've put there, comfortable win against Sheffield United. So Dennis, we'll start with you, mate. I mean, comfortable was that's one way of putting it. It's pretty kindly
pedestrian. A very one-sided court case. What else do you want to call it? It was it was one of the worst football teams I've seen come to the new stadium. I mean, they made the Serbian lads, who some people were calling Tim Pot the other week. They gave us a much better game, and people were saying that was going to be a walkover. I mean, another day, another, ball going a few inches more to the right or left, we could quite easily have put 4, maybe 5 past them. It was just that. There's nothing really more to add on that. So social media is still laughing at all the Sheffield United fans crying about Tevez, which I've seen a lot of on Twitter and YouTube in the build up. It's been 16 years, lads. Get over it.
In your first sentence, you mentioned court case and Tevez, so that's fucking brilliant. So, Gatesy, thanks for joining, mate. What were your thoughts on that win? Obviously, it was incredibly comfortable, wasn't it?
Yeah, thanks for the invite, Bill. I really do appreciate it. As far as the Sheffield United game was concerned, we sort of we were the better team, and let's be completely honest, we didn't get out of second gear because, quite frankly, we didn't need to. They were absolutely abject. I think there was one proper save Areola had to make. I mean, there was a second save that he made in the dying embers of the game, but to be honest, that was a fairly routine save. There was a sort of save he made in the second half from Ahmed Hodzic, I believe was the player's name for Sheffield United. And yeah, it's a good save, but there was no real point in the match where I thought that we was at any threat of conceding a goal, which would obviously reduce the arrears and maybe get the nerves jangling a little bit. They're going to get relegated. It's, unless there's some ridiculous upsurge in form, I think that there's just no way that I can see that team that I saw on Saturday is going to escape the drop.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think, as Dennis said, for me, one of the worst teams I've seen. I think I'll put them right up there with the Derby County team of 07, 08, I would argue. I think they were really poor. And I think in Gatesy, obviously it's the cliche, didn't get out second gear. I'll be honest, I don't think we got out first gear. To be honest with you, especially when obviously get the second goal, 10 minutes before half time, it was that at half time we were like, well, this game's over already. Get their flip flops out for the second half, and that's pretty much what we did. But that first goal though, was really, if that was against a top team, I think we'd still be raving about it. The movement and obviously that finish from Bowen was really good, guys.
Oh, it was a beautiful little sort of triangle in the midfield. Ball pops out to the right flank with Vladimir Kufal careering down our right flank, and he's really sort of banging form at the minute. I mean, his last 3 appearances in Premier League fixtures, he's got 3 assists. Yeah. They're all pretty similar to each other. He's careering down the wing. He's playing a ball across the penalty box, and someone's getting on the end of it. Yeah, I mean, he's getting back to the Vladimir Kufal that we had when we very first got him. He's had a bit of a dip in form, and I think he's starting to have a bit of a resurgence. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really good goal. Jared Bowen at the moment. I mean, the song goes, Jared, Bowen's on fire. I'll leave the next line out, but we all know what it is.
We all know, yeah.
yeah. But I mean, he seriously is. I mean, in 7 Premier League games, he's got 5 goals, 1 assist. Absolutely outstanding form from Bowen. Obviously, there's the sort of will he, won't he saga of is he going to sign a contract? I keep my fingers crossed. I hope he is, because I don't really want to sort of contemplate the fact that we lost our best player last season in obviously Declan Rice. And at the moment, I believe that our best player right now is Jared Bowen, and I would hate the thought of us losing our best player in each season in consecutive seasons. It wouldn't really sit right with me.
No, exactly, mate. And Dennis, so, obviously, I say the game was over pretty much by when some Souček scored. But I mean, you could say about any fans, but West Ham Twitter was in full force at times on Saturday. Like, we should be winning. We should be winning by more, and Moyes is at fault again. Like, it's just getting boring now. It's getting ridiculous now. But like, what do you make of the? We should have beaten them by more, or do you put the point of like, well, it doesn't really matter, we've still won, and we've got a big week coming up?
Yeah, I think we had half an eye on Thursday and the other half an eye on Sunday, Newcastle. Why exert ourselves and risk cramp or a pull or an injury or going in for a bad tackle? Why risk picking up yellows and suspensions that'll add up over the time to improve our goal difference? If we're in the other end of the table, infamous words of my mate John when Liverpool were chasing the title in 2014, go for the goal difference, of course. But goal difference isn't going to make a huge deal. I don't think we're going to be 1 point or level on points for top 4 come the end of the season, really, or Europe. I think right now, a better cut run and a good result against Newcastle, that's our priority over 2 more goals.
Yeah, no, so evening, Russ, Arsenal fan. Thanks for joining, mate. And what about you, Gatesy, on that?
What, in terms of us not going and trying to get the third, the fourth? I've been in complete agreement with Dennis in that, look, we won the game. Yes, it wasn't pretty in the second half, and I'm on record as saying that, and this is not an exaggeration. In the second half, the first 15 minutes, it was literally, I was nodding off. Seriously, I was doing the old, I was doing the nodding dog. And that is not an exaggeration. That is absolutely God's honest truth. I was literally just sort of like, oh fuck, there's a game going on. But we didn't need to do anything. As I say, I mean, Dennis is right. If we'd have sort of like exerted ourselves, tried to go to the third, tried to go to the fourth, and it's like, and then someone pulls a hamstring or someone flies into a challenge that's completely unnecessary and picks up a yellow or red card and they're banned for a period of time. And so I get that people want to see free-flowing, open, expansive football, but sometimes, when we're in European competition especially, I think sometimes you have to be pragmatic about things and just weigh things up. And I think that was probably, at half-time, I dare say David Moyes got them in and said, look, boys, this lot really aren't up to much. Just manage the game, keep them at arm's length. If we need to sort of click into a higher gear, we know we've got that to sort of in our locker to take care of them, but don't do anything stupid. Don't sort of take unnecessary risks, and just manage the next 45 minutes, and we've got the 3 points in the bag, and that was what happened in the end. So as far as I'm concerned, all well and good.
Yeah, and I think the alternative is like, well, what if we go and draw 2-2, or we go and lose because we're throwing both our fullbacks forward? I remember a game Arsenal played in Champions League a few years ago when Arsene Wenger was in charge, one of his last seasons. I think they were like 2 or 3-0 up against, I think, Anderlecht, so no one special, and they drew 3-3 or something. You think, well, we're throwing both fullbacks forward. You think, like, do you want that, or do you want to just settle and win the game? And also, it's one of them where, like, you play, you hear all the time, you play what's in front of you. Well, if the team you play are absolutely pony, which Sheffield United are, even goes back to even Sunday League level. If you're playing again that you're so superior against, you're not going to play to your maximum because you're not exactly switched on, are you?
No, I completely agree. I mean, like I say, people, and I admit that there are times when I do want David Moyes to set the team up in a way that is, like I say, more pleasing on the eye than sometimes is the case. But the fact of the matter is that we are having our best start to a season for many a year. We've got a European trophy that we won a couple of months ago. There's always going to be an element of the support that is not happy with things, no matter how well we do. We are, and I'm not saying West Ham fans. I think football fans as as a general thing, we are quite fickle. We'll always find something to complain about. So, but for me, I mean, I'm very much glass half full than glass half empty.
That's a good way to be, mate. Right, let's. I think we've done 10 minutes of Sheffield United, so I think that's enough now. So let's preview the Freiburg game. Obviously, we're playing away in Germany tomorrow night. Unfortunately, no West Ham fans will be there. Well, certainly not the away end because we've got banned. So I reckon some will sneak in the home end. You know what it's like. So Dennis is a Bundesliga fan. Obviously, Mainz is your team, but you watch Bundesliga a fair bit. What kind of change will Freiburg pose to us?
Well, I've got first-hand sources from a Freiburg season ticket holder that I can give you a bit of a preview on.
Thanks, that's going to help.
Yeah, so they're in the Baden-Württemberg area, or Württemberg area of Germany. Very known for their beers and sausages, but also known for their tactical diversity. So a little bit of a history lesson here with Freiburg. They're very rarely in Europe. I think they've only qualified in Europe 6 times, and 3 of those times have been in the last 5 years. So they tend to prioritize Europe a little bit over the league because it's so rare for them. They're sellout crowds, very passionate, relatively friendly fans. So not expecting Frankfurt levels of intimidation. But their main ace in their hold is their manager, Christian Streich, who's been with the club since 1995 in one way or another, from youth coach all the way up. Knows the club inside out. He has a playbook on every opponent. So think of like NFL style playbooks where he knows what their strengths and weaknesses are. So basically expect them to probably have had an eye on a couple of our games, which makes our one-dimensional style of play on the counter possibly will be our undoing in this, unless we have a surprise or unless they have just decided not to do their homework on us. Basically, their biggest strength is in their ability to soak up pressure, very similar to us, actually, and catch people on the counter. And also set pieces. They've scored 19 goals from set pieces last season in all competitions. So they've got Gunter, who is their left back, who you might remember because I believe we were linked with him a little while ago. And also Roland Salai are their main corner takers, and both from the left and right, respectively. And they've also got Griffo, the Italian winger, who's pretty tricky. Their other sort of unsung hero is a guy called Hoffler, who is their holding midfielder and ball winner. So Kudos, he's probably going to man mark Kudos if we start Kudos against Freiburg, for example. He might cause a few problems for him. That, other than other facts about previous players that have played for them, is my little dossier on Freiburg for you people.
No, awesome. Thanks, Dennis. So I think a couple of players I'm going to mention. Gates, you mentioned him on your preview yesterday. Is as you just mentioned him, Dennis, is Vincenzo Griffo. One of those players where it seems to be a sort of a late developer. He's getting better and better with age. He's 30 years old, but last season had his best ever season goal scoring wise. 15 in the Bundesliga, 17 in total. He's got 4 goals in 9 appearances for the Italian national team. He's been in their squad last few years. So, and as you say, Dennis is a winger, attacking play, good passing. Seems to be one of those players who likes to take shots from outside the box, so he's someone to be aware of. So from an attacking sense, he's one to definitely look out for. And the other one, defensively, is Matthias Ginter. He's a German international, has been capped over 50 times, plays as a centre-back or for Freiburg, probably as a right centre-back or holding mid as well. So whoever's playing against him, whether it's Antonio or Kudos or Bequeta, whoever it is, they're going to be for a tough ride against Matthias Ginter, I'd say. So Gates, I know you previewed them yesterday, but I mean, for me, this might be because we're away from home. We've got should have no away fans there, and the fact they're going decently in the Bundesliga. Where are they? They're 8th. They've only lost 2 games so far from the 6, and the 2 they've lost to have been it's a 5-0 thrashing by Stuttgart, who are second in the league, and by Borussia Dortmund, who obviously have been challenging the last few years. So this will be a tough test for us.
It will. The one thing that I do, and I referenced this in our preview. I mean, Dennis, you referenced player Hoffler. According to there's a resource that I'm looking at here, he's actually suspended for this particular fixture tomorrow, so he's not going to be involved. As far as their injury list is concerned, I've got here, it says that the injury list consists of players such as Uphoff, Gunter, Kyrie, Rosenfelder, and Keitel, who are all looking like they're not going to make it for the match at the Europa Park Stadion. So that gives me a little bit of hope as far as, that we're going to be facing a team that are going to be a little bit under strength, shall we say. I do think that it is a significant disadvantage. Well, maybe not significant, but it's a slight disadvantage that we're not going to have any of our support. What would it have been? Possibly a 2,000 or so fans that we would have taken, but for this ban that UEFA put in place. It's going to be a weird one because sort of like, you put moves together. I can sort of imagine if you're a footballer, you're putting moves together. Even if you score a goal, sort of thing, and it must be quite a weird atmosphere that there's no fans there to sort of like cheer you on, sort of like for the good passages of play, for the good things that you do, and all that you get is a chorus of boos and sort of whatever or silence, whatever it might be that unfolds. So, to be honest with you, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, this will be a tough test. I believe that tomorrow will be our toughest test in this group. If we can come away from this with a point, I think that puts us in good stead to progress further.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, mate. I mean, Dennis, in terms of their style of play, just judging by obviously their possession stats and the amount of goals, I reckon they're quite similar to West Ham. Obviously, not watching them on TV or anything, because in the Bundesliga, they've only in the 6 games they've only scored 7 goals. And what was a bit of a surprise was the Olympiacos game in matchday 1, where they scored 3 goals away from home. So they don't seem to be the most prolific of sides, but they are susceptible, a bit like us, to conceding goals though as well.
Yeah, as I said, it's difficult to pin down their style of play purely because they versatile and change their formation game to game, pretty much. But much like us, from what I understand from my friend, is that they are people they are a team that will soak up attacks, and their wingers will come down and support the fullbacks, and sometimes it might even be a 6 at the back, so to speak, with the wingers down on the halfway line. So, like us, they like to be on the counter primarily. However, it's really hard to judge. The main thing for me is a set piece prowess. A lot of criticism has been sent Aguerd's way for not being strong enough in the air, and that could cost us if what my friend is saying is true. However, there could be that Mavropanos starts purely because he would have played against these lads 4 times in his time over in Germany. Admittedly, they haven't got their star striker Nils Peterson anymore because he's retired. So I'm not too sure on who their striker is at the minute. It hasn't been mentioned in the WhatsApp I got sent about him. So
ask him now. No, joking. Gates, as you said, you'd take a draw, but how would you want West Ham to approach this game on the front foot, or would you like we say maybe did against Brighton, where we try and soak up a bit of pressure?
I'll be honest, not having really seen Freiburg in depth, it's kind of difficult for me to answer that question in a sort of cogent way. I think that, Dennis obviously knows a lot more about it than I do. All I want to see is us set up in a fashion where we're resolute, we're hard to break down, we frustrate them. I think what we're going to need to do, because of the lack of away support, I think what we're going to need to do is to get the crowd quiet a little bit, turn the volume down, because I'm fairly certain that their fans are probably going to be quite vociferous and try and sort of, I know, Dennis, you say that they're not going to be as intimidating like Frankfurt were. It'll be a different type of atmosphere, but I'm sure that they'll try and make a bit of noise. And cause a bit of a stir. So the longer it can go where we can keep them at bay and keep a clean sheet, I think that the volume will start to decrease, and maybe a little bit of frustration might creep in from the home crowd, which is obviously to our advantage. For me, I think it hinges on us being strong at the back. I think that Mavropanos for me is an absolute must. Personally, I've been thoroughly impressed by him, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. I remember when he played for Arsenal. I mean, he didn't play many games in fairness, but I don't think in the games that he was involved, he really covered himself in glory. But he's gone away. He's honed his craft in the Bundesliga. He's improved. He's come back, and in the limited time that I've seen him on the pitch in claret and blue, I've been thoroughly impressed. So for me, I think that his physical attributes will be key. I think the fact that he's a player that, as Dennis referenced, has been in the Bundesliga very recently will be an advantage as well. And I think also another player that might be a good player to have involved, and I suspect he will be for a very similar reason, will be Thilo Kehrer.
Oh, interesting shout, mate. I mean, we might as well talk about how we should line up, lads. Now, so I mean, Dennis, how would you try and line up? Because it's tricky. Because obviously Freiburg are going to be a tougher test than Bakker Teplova from match day one, but we've also got we've got a hard game at home against Newcastle on Sunday. So how do you get the balance right?
I'd switch it a little bit. This is a game where I don't think we should be playing Thomas Soucek, if I'm honest with you. I would put Paqueta in the middle, Ben Rama on the left, maybe put Kehrer in at right back ahead of Kufal because of his knowledge of the German game, and it gives Kufal a little bit of a rest. We want him on good form and against Newcastle, who have got a lot of pace in their side, and Mavropanos at centre back. And I reckon there'll be Fabianski swapping for Areola. That's how I would do it.
How would you have the central midfield?
I'd have Paqueta, Ward-Prowse with Alvarez sitting.
Yeah, nice. And maybe how about up front?
Up front, I'd have Antonio, Bowen on the right wing, Benny on the left, and then obviously I would play Emerson definitely at left back in this game over Ben Johnson or a half-thick Cresswell, and I'd have Zouma and Mavropanos at centre back.
Yeah, nice. How about you, Gatesy?
Largely very, very similar to what Dennis has said. I would go Fabianski in goal. I think I would like to see a back four consisting from left to right of Emerson. I'm torn whether to put Mavropanos alongside Aguirre or Bonner. I think on balance, I'd probably go with the experience of Bonner. I know that he made the mistake that conceded the goal in the previous European game, but I think his experience will be key. So I'd go on Bonner alongside Mavropanos. I'd go Kehrer at right back. I agree with Dennis in that Alvarez sitting, and a midfield three also consisting of James Ward-Prowse and Lucas Paquetá. And then I would go a front three consisting of Bowen on the right. On the left, I'd probably like to see a little bit of a change up. I'd probably like to see Cornet get a run out. I know that might be quite a big call, quite controversial, but I just want to see him. I want to see him have a go, and he needs to grab this opportunity because we paid a lot of money for him. We're paying a lot of wages for him, and I'd like to try and see if we can get a little bit of value for money out of him. And then I think up front, I'd like to see Antonio getting a little bit of rest. I'd have him on the bench in case he's needed, but I'd like to see Mohamed Kudus getting a little bit of a go.
Oh, yeah. Well, so you play Kudus up front then?
I would indeed, yes.
Yeah, well, that's tough, lads. I mean, it's great for the first time in forever. West Ham got some squad depth of good quality to choose from. So it's that's tough. So I think I'd probably go, Fabianski, Kehrer, Mavropanos, probably Bonner, Emerson. I think, Alvarez, Ward-Prowse, Paquetá, Bowen, Kudus, and I'd actually play Mickey. I'd play Mickey up front, at least for the hour, and then sub him off once we're 3-0 up, hopefully, or 1-0 up or whatever. So let's go to the chat quickly. Thanks for us. How's Mavropanos getting on? Yeah, I think as Casey rightly said, I think he hasn't played too much. I thought we looked pretty good because it was his first game in the match day 1 against Bakataflova. Thought he looked certainly a lot more composed than what is a more experienced centre-back partner in Ogbonna would looked. A bit rusty at times, but I think first game for the club and back from injury, hasn't got the high, obviously load of match fitness behind him. I think he acquitted himself pretty well, and even when he come on against Sheffield United at the weekend, looked okay. So I'd be happy for him to start and obviously push him, push Aguerd for a starting place in the league anyway. So let's finish off, lads, with some score predictions. Gatesy, what's your score prediction?
I'm not going to deviate from what I said in our score prediction. I'm going to say it's going to be a 0-0 draw, which I will be perfectly happy with.
Fair enough. And you, Dennis?
Obviously, any of my German friends watching, stop watching now. I'll go 1-1, and they can start watching, and I'm going to say 8-0 West Ham. I have got a small update. In that I haven't got an update on who the striker is, but I asked, what are the fans like? What's the atmosphere like? And these are the words they have typed. They will kill your players with kindness. Make of that what you will.
So if we score a goal, they're going to applaud, are they?
Possibly.
It's like, well, it sounds like we're playing Fulham then. So all right, well, I'm going to go 1-1 then. I think obviously I'd be great if we got a win, but I think we've all said it'd probably be one of our toughest games, if not the toughest. So I'd take a draw if it was offered. But so I'm going to go 1-1. Right, anything else you lads want to touch on before we finish?
No.
I think we've covered it all off, Bill. I can't think of anything else. How about yourself, Dennis?
No, nothing more other than that we're massive and we are the champions of Europe.
You'll never sing that.
Absolutely.
All right, nice one. Well, Gatesy, Dennis, thanks a lot for joining, lads, and come on your irons, I guess. All right, thanks for coming on, Gatesy, in particular, and good luck with the channel, and we'll have you on soon, yeah, mate.
Appreciate it, and thanks for the invite again.
No worries. All right, well, thanks everyone for watching. Subscribe to Gadget Football, subscribe to Gates' channel as well, and we'll see you soon. Take care.